They left Stacy at the altar, thinking she'd break. She didn't break. She built an empire. What do you do when the world watches you fall? You rise higher than they ever dreamed. Welcome to Mr. Leonardo Stories, the place where heartbreak turns into victory and every ending is just the start of something greater. If you've ever been counted out, type "Watch me win" in the comments. Hit subscribe, smash that like button, and share this story with someone who needs to see real strength in action. Ready? Let's see how Stacy made her tears her greatest gift. Stacy Martin didn't grow up with silver spoons or safe promises. Her world was a rented apartment above a bakery, laughter from her mother Thelma in the kitchen, and the soft hope of better days. Every Saturday morning, Stacy's chores ended with Thelma's favorite lesson: "Don't wait for life to be fair, baby. Make it fair for yourself." She listened. She learned. And when she turned 19, she took her first job as a junior analyst for a struggling tech startup. That's where she met Stone Harrow. Stone wasn't the loudest man in the room. He was the most certain. Clean lines, sharp suits, eyes that lingered only where he found truth. Stacy saw him first across a crowded networking event, her hands full of reports, her nerves on edge. He saw her too. Not the dress, not the hair, but the girl underneath, steady, a little scared, but unwilling to back down. They met that night, by accident, as she spilled coffee over his custom shoes. "Looks like you're not afraid to make a mark," Stone said, flashing the kind of smile that made apologies easy. Stacy blushed but held his gaze. "I don't hide from mistakes. I just clean them up." It started as a joke, but the conversation ran late. They shared small secrets, traded jokes, drifted to a quiet booth where work and worry faded. For Stacy, Stone's attention was like sunlight on winter glass, unexpected, warm, lingering. Late that night, as the city wound down, he offered her a ride home. They sat in silence, the air electric. Stone asked about her dreams. She told him she wanted to build something no one could take from her. He nodded. "That's rare," he said. "Most people want what they're told to want. But you're different." Their hands brushed when she stepped out. She felt a charge, one that would come back again and again. Stacy couldn't stop thinking about Stone after that night. She tried to focus on work, to push aside the memory of his lingering glance, but the ache stayed with her. Her mother noticed. "You look like a girl with a secret," Thelma teased. "Maybe I do, Mama," Stacy answered, hiding her smile in a mug of tea. The next week, Stone showed up at the office with coffee for Stacy. "Spill it on my shoes again, and I'll know it's a sign," he teased, soft and low, standing close enough for Stacy to smell his cologne, a subtle, expensive scent that wrapped around her like a promise. From that day, Stone made his interest known. He'd find reasons to stop by her desk, asking about her projects, offering to review her work, sometimes leaning in too close, his voice a private hush in a crowded room. One Friday evening, when most of the team had left, Stacy found herself alone in the kitchen, washing her cup. Stone appeared behind her, rolled up his sleeves, and started drying. Their arms touched, an innocent brush that sent heat up Stacy's spine. "You're not what I expected," Stone admitted. "You're better." Stacy didn't reply. She let the silence hold them, the tension thick, her heart beating out a new rhythm. By the end of that night she knew, whatever Stone Harrow wanted, he wouldn't take it by force. He'd wait, patient, letting her choose her own moment to fall. She thought she was ready. She had no idea what was coming. The city changed when you saw it through Stone Harrow's eyes. He moved through life with quiet command, a man who never needed to shout to be heard. Yet beneath his cool, measured exterior, Stone carried a loneliness money never healed. His world looked perfect. Penthouse views, black cards and boardrooms, parties in rooms filled with laughter and polished lies. But none of it touched him. Stone was a ghost in his own life until Stacy Martin crashed into it, honest and raw. After that first meeting, Stone couldn't get her out of his head. He replayed her words, her easy laughter, the stubborn tilt of her chin. It rattled him, in a good way. He found himself inventing reasons to visit her office floor, checking on a project, reviewing numbers. But mostly, He just wanted to watch her work. He noticed the way Stacy's brow furrowed when she was deep in thought, the way she tapped her pen when stuck on a problem. Every detail drew him closer. One rainy Thursday, Stone lingered outside the glass-walled conference room where Stacy was leading her first team meeting. He watched as she spoke up, shy at first, then steady, her words clear and sharp. Even seasoned executives leaned in. When Stacy caught his eye through the glass, Stone smiled. She looked away, cheeks pink, but didn't falter. That night, he texted her for the first time. "Stone, you have a gift. Don't let them talk over you." "Stacy, thanks. Still learning to use my voice." "Stone, you're doing better than most." The messages became their secret thread. Stone found comfort in those short, honest exchanges. They became a nightly ritual, sharing little victories, frustrations, and inside jokes. A week later, Stone arranged a lunch meeting, but only Stacy showed up. He hadn't invited anyone else. They sat in a quiet corner booth at a rooftop bistro, the city buzzing far below. Stacy sipped her lemonade, eyes wary. "Why me?" she asked, voice low. Stone shrugged, unable to fake it. "You don't try to impress me. You just are." Stacy's lips curved into a small smile. "Maybe I'm too tired to pretend." Stone reached across the table, letting his fingers brush hers for a moment longer than necessary. "Don't ever change that." After lunch, the connection only deepened. Stacy started noticing Stone's kindness, the way he lingered after meetings to offer a word of encouragement, the way he paid attention when no one else did. On Friday, Stacy was the last to leave the office. Stone appeared in the doorway, 2 cups of coffee in hand. "Working late?" he asked. Stacy nodded, brushing a stray curl from her face. "Trying to prove I belong." He set the coffee on her desk. "You do belong. Anyone who can survive Thelma's bakery on a Saturday morning can survive this place." She laughed, surprised. "You remember that story?" Stone grinned. "I remember everything you say." The conversation turned to their childhoods. Stone spoke about growing up in a mansion that always felt empty, about winning awards only to hang them in rooms no one visited. Stacy listened, gentle and present, never judging. The rain started outside, drumming against the glass. Stacy stood up, stretching. "You want to get out of here?" Stone hesitated, then nodded. "Lead the way." They stepped into the rain together, sharing Stone's umbrella. As they walked, their hands brushed. The city lights reflected off wet pavement, painting their faces in gold and blue. At the curb, Stone hailed a cab. As they slid inside, close together, the air shifted. Stacy's voice was quiet. "Do you ever get tired of pretending?" Stone's answer came soft and honest, all the time. "But not with you." The silence felt different this time. Safe, intimate. When they reached Stacy's apartment, she paused at the door, turning to face him. Their eyes met, questions, hopes, an ache that neither could name. Stone leaned in, just enough. "Good night, Stacy." She smiled. "Good night, Stone." As she disappeared inside, Stone realized he was smiling, a real, wide, unguarded smile. The friendship turned into something more in the weeks that followed. Stone brought Stacy breakfast at her desk, her favorite, with extra butter and honey. He started showing up to meetings early, making sure she had a seat at the table. They shared jokes only they understood, laughter that no one else in the room noticed. Sometimes, he'd text her in the middle of the night. "Stone, can't sleep. You up?" "Stacy, always." "What's on your mind?" "Stone, you..." Those texts became confessions. Stacy shared her dreams, her fears. Stone told her things he'd never said out loud, how he sometimes felt like an outsider. In his own life, how easy it was to get lost in the expectations of others. One Sunday morning, Stone invited Stacy to his penthouse for brunch. The view took her breath away, but Stone only watched her. "You like it?" he asked. Stacy nodded. "It's beautiful, but you look lonely here." Stone's voice was almost a whisper. "It's less lonely now." They cooked together, Stone chopping vegetables clumsily, Stacy showing him how to make her mother's famous omelette. Their hands touched, laughter spilling into the quiet kitchen. The meal turned into hours of talking, sitting on the floor, sharing stories from childhood. As the afternoon faded, Stone grew serious. "You make this place feel like home," he said. Stacy looked away, shy but pleased. "I never thought I'd be here." Stone moved closer. "Neither did I." Their first kiss was slow. Soft lips, gentle hands, two hearts beating out a new rhythm. Afterwards they lay tangled on the couch, Stacy's head on Stone's chest, his fingers tracing circles on her back. The world outside faded. Inside, it felt like the start of something real. That night, as Stacy fell asleep in Stone's arms, she let herself believe in the possibility of happiness. Their relationship deepened with every day. Stone met Thelma, sitting awkwardly in the tiny bakery kitchen, trying and failing to hide his nerves. Thelma, shrewd as ever, saw right through him. "You planning to keep my daughter's heart safe?" she asked, peering over her glasses. Stone nodded, swallowing hard. "I'd like to try." Thelma smiled, satisfied. "Good, because she deserves the world." Stone's friendship with Stacy's mother became its own quiet bond. He'd drop by the bakery for advice, sometimes just for a warm meal. Thelma gave him something he'd never had before: family. With Stacy, the intimacy grew deeper. They spent weekends together, sometimes out exploring the city, sometimes wrapped in each other's arms, whispering dreams in the dark. Stacy learned that Stone could be tender, gentle kisses on her forehead in the morning, slow caresses that made her feel cherished. Stone learned that Stacy was stronger than anyone he'd ever met. Some nights, after lovemaking, Stone would talk about the future. "I want forever with you," he whispered, voice raw. Stacy traced his jaw, her heart aching with hope. "Promise?" He nodded, eyes shining. "Promise." Their bodies spoke a language only they understood. Soft touches, sleepy mornings, tangled in sheets, eye contact that lingered long after the world woke up. It was a happiness neither expected, but both wanted more than anything. Monday morning brought a new ritual for Stacy. Stone waiting at the office. Doors, 2 coffees in hand, that half-crooked grin, made just for her. The rest of the office noticed. Whispers followed Stacy down the hall, envy in some eyes, curiosity in others. But Stone didn't care. He only cared about Stacy. He made her feel seen in every way. The way he'd squeeze her hand during meetings, brush her cheek with the back of his, fingers as he passed her desk, send her messages that made her smile for no reason. Sometimes he'd stand behind her, resting his chin on her shoulder as she worked late, just breathing her in. Their connection grew with every day. One Thursday, Stone invited her over after a tough week. The city outside was loud, but Stone's penthouse felt like a world apart. Stacy slipped off her heels and walked straight into his arms. He kissed her slowly, hands threading through her curls, lips lingering on her neck, whispering, "You're my calm." She melted against him, letting herself be held. In that quiet moment, she felt completely safe. Dinner turned into laughter and music. Stone queued up old love songs, teaching Stacy to dance barefoot on marble floors. They sang off-key, spun in dizzy circles and ended up on the couch, tangled in a fit of giggles. Stone pulled her close. "I never thought I'd have this. Not with anyone." Stacy looked up, gentle but sure. "You do now, if you want it." He nodded, forehead pressed to hers. "I want it more than I've ever wanted anything." That night, they explored each other with new tenderness. Soft touches, whispered, "I love yous," hands mapping familiar curves as if for the first time. Stacy let Stone see her in every way, her laughter, her scars, her deepest fears. Stone let his guard down, showing her his own wounds. They fell asleep in each other's arms, heartbeats echoing in the quiet. In the daylight, things felt even better. Stone would bring Stacy breakfast in bed, her favorite croissant, a single wildflower in a juice glass. She'd wake to his kisses, sleepy smiles, promises of forever. On weekends, they strolled through farmers' markets, buying flowers and fruit, holding hands like teenagers. Sometimes they'd get caught in the rain, dashing under awnings, laughing until their sides hurt. Stone always pulled Stacy close, shielding her from the cold, sharing his warmth. They made time for little escapes, a cozy cabin in the woods, late-night drives along the coast, secret getaways where they could forget the world and just be together. One weekend at the cabin, after hours curled up by the fire, Stone drew Stacy a bath. He undressed her slowly, his eyes tender and reverent. Stacy slipped into the warm water, and Stone joined her, letting her lean back against his chest. They talked for hours, about everything, about nothing at all. Stacy traced lazy circles on Stone's thigh, her voice low. "What scares you most?" He thought for a moment, his arms tightening around her. "Losing you. Or worse, hurting you." Stacy turned, her lips brushing his. "You won't. I trust you." He let himself believe her, just for that night. Their friends saw the change. Gabby, Stone's longtime confidant, watched them together and pulled Stacy aside during a group dinner. "Stone's never let anyone in like this," Gabby said quietly. "He's got a habit of running when things get hard. I just don't want you to get hurt." Stacy nodded, understanding the risk. "I know, but I'm not asking for guarantees. Only honesty." Gabby smiled, a little relieved. He chose well. That night, as they walked home, Stacy asked Stone about his past. He was honest, about the relationships he'd ended out of fear, the trust he'd broken, the loneliness he'd carried. "But this feels different," Stone admitted. "You make me want to be better." Stacy squeezed his hand. "You already are." Their love became the foundation for everything else. At work, they learned to be a team. Stone respected Stacy's ideas, pushing her to take on bigger projects, to trust her instincts. She grew in confidence, finding her voice and earning the respect of her peers. At home, the intimacy deepened. They took turns cooking, playfully arguing over recipes, making messes in the kitchen, and cleaning up together. They binged silly movies, danced in the living room, shared baths that turned into slow, sensual explorations of each other. Every night, Stone would hold Stacy close, whispering, "You're my home." And Stacy, for the first time, believed it. But with deep love comes deeper fear. Stacy sometimes caught Stone staring at her with a look she couldn't quite read, part awe, part worry. One night, after a quiet dinner, Stacy found Stone on the balcony, lost in thought. "Penny for your thoughts?" she asked, wrapping her arms around his waist. He sighed, pulling her into his chest. "I'm waiting for something to go wrong. I've never been this happy." Stacy pressed her lips to his heart. "Maybe it's time you let yourself have it." He nodded, silent. Inside, the music played softly. They swayed together, lost in each other, choosing hope over fear. As the weeks turned into months, their world felt unbreakable. Stacy and Stone became known as a power couple, equal partners, always supporting, always loving. But happiness can make you brave. And soon, Stone would decide it was time to risk everything for forever. Stone and Stacy's love felt easy, until the past began to haunt the quiet spaces between their laughter. No relationship lives only in the sunshine. Old scars surface in the shadows. Late one Friday, Stacy woke from a dream, sweating, breathless, remembering her father. His absence, the years spent wondering if she'd ever be enough for any man to stay. She sat on the windowsill, staring out at the city lights, hugging her knees. Stone stirred, felt the cold space beside him, and followed. He found her there, silent tears streaking her face. He didn't say a word. He sat next to her, wrapped her in his arms, and let her breathe in his warmth. "You can tell me anything," he whispered. She shook her head, fighting old habits. I'm scared you'll leave." He kissed her temple, voice thick with his own confession. "I'm scared too. My whole life. I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop." Stacy turned, searching his face. "Why?" Stone hesitated. For the first time, he let himself be small. "My mom left when I was a kid. My dad buried himself in work. Love always felt like something temporary, like something you lose if you want it too much. Stacy rested her head on his shoulder. Maybe it's time we stop running from happy. He brushed a tear from her cheek. Let's promise to stay, especially when it gets hard. She nodded, their hands tangled tight. That promise became their anchor. The next morning, Stacy made cinnamon rolls, her mother's recipe. The kitchen was warm with sugar and hope. Stone wandered in, drawn by the smell and the woman behind it. "You look beautiful," he said, still shirtless, hair tousled from sleep. Stacy blushed, flicking flour at him. "Help or stay out of my kitchen." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, pressing a kiss to her neck. "I'll help by taste testing." They laughed, the air light again. But as they ate at the tiny kitchen table, Stacy studied Stone's hands, the way they shook, just a little. "Will you tell me what scares you?" she asked, voice gentle. Stone looked down. "I'm afraid of letting you see all of me. The parts that aren't strong, the nights I can't sleep, the mornings I wake up, I'm already tired." Stacy reached for him. "You don't have to be strong for me, Stone. Just be here." He let out a shaky breath, tears in his eyes. "You make it easy." She wiped his tears, tracing his jaw. "I love all of you." He pulled her into his lap, holding her like she was the only thing keeping him grounded. That afternoon, they escaped the city, Stone's idea. He drove them upstate, to a quiet lake house he'd never shared with anyone. They walked the wooded paths, hands entwined, silence soft and healing. Stacy found herself opening up in new ways. She told Stone about her fears, her ambitions, the years she spent feeling invisible. Stone listened, every word treasured. At nightfall, they built a fire and shared a blanket. Stacy leaned into him, the crackle of the flames and the safety of his arms soothing every ache. Stone ran his fingers through her hair. "Being with you makes everything make sense." Stacy kissed him, slow, searching, grateful. Their bodies fit together like they'd been made for each other. They explored each other gently at first, then with growing urgency. Stone worshipped her, his hands mapping her skin, his mouth tracing her pulse. Stacy let herself go, every touch an act of trust. Afterward, wrapped together under the covers, Stone whispered, "I don't want this to end." "It doesn't have to," Stacy answered, eyes shining. The next weeks brought new adventures and quiet healing. They took weekend trips, sometimes wild, sometimes lazy. Stone introduced Stacy to his favorite jazz club, the two of them swaying. In the dark, letting the music fill every space inside them, they talked about the future, hopes, fears, children forever. Stacy confessed her fear of losing herself in love. Stone promised to always see her, to always let her shine. One Sunday morning, as sunlight painted their bed gold, Stacy woke to find Stone watching her. "What?" she whispered, smiling. I can't believe you're real," he said. She blushed, pulling him down for a kiss. "I am, and I'm not going anywhere." They made love again, this time slow, unrushed. Stacy held Stone's face in her hands, eyes locked, every breath a vow. Their trust deepened, but life outside their bubble kept moving. Stone's business grew demanding. Stacy's responsibilities at work increased too. But every night they came back to each other, cooking dinner, sharing wine, cuddling on the couch. Even in silence, they felt connected. Stacy sometimes spent evenings alone, journaling or reading. She found comfort in her own company, learning that intimacy with herself was just as important as intimacy with Stone. She went on solo walks, took bubble baths, and pampered herself. When Stone returned, she welcomed him with open arms, a full heart, and a readiness to share every part of herself. Stone cherished her independence, falling deeper in love each time he saw her light up from within. But every love story faces a test. Stone's business started facing setbacks. His mood shifted, quieter, edgier, sometimes distant. Stacy worried, but gave him space. One night, she found him sitting alone in the dark, shoulders tense. "Talk to me," she urged, kneeling beside him. He hesitated, then spoke. I feel like I'm failing you. She cupped his face, eyes fierce. You could never fail me, Stone. We're in this together. He kissed her, rough and desperate, needing her to believe it. She held him through the night, never letting go. Together, they learned that true intimacy wasn't about perfect days. It was about standing together when everything felt uncertain. As autumn turned to winter, Stone and Stacy faced the world, hearts unlocked and stronger than ever, ready for whatever came next. The city sparkled. The night Stone decided to ask Stacy to marry him. He planned every detail himself. No grand gestures, no witnesses, just the intimacy that defined their love. He called Thelma first, nerves making his voice tremble. I want to marry your daughter, ma'am. Thelma chuckled, warm and knowing. You'd better. She's already chosen you. Make it count, Stone. Her blessing gave him courage. Stacy's birthday started simple. A morning filled with lazy kisses and pancakes, Stone singing off-key while flipping them. Stacy laughed, cheeks flushed from happiness, eyes bright as new hope. He took her out that night to her favorite rooftop restaurant. The city stretched in every direction, lights glowing like a blanket of tiny promises. The air was warm, scented with jasmine, and the hush of dreams only spoken under stars. They sat alone in a quiet corner. Stone was quieter than usual, his fingers tracing patterns on Stacy's hand. She squeezed his palm, concern flickering. You okay? He nodded, but his heart pounded so hard she could almost feel it through his skin. As dessert arrived, a single candle in a slice of rich chocolate cake, Stone knelt beside her chair. For a split second, Stacy froze. The world stilled. Even the city seemed to hold its breath. Stone looked up, his eyes full of every secret, every scar, every hope. I don't have a fancy speech, he said softly, but I know you make me better. You're my home, my reason, my best friend. I don't want another day to go by without you knowing that I choose you, now and forever. He opened a small velvet box, hands trembling, a simple gold ring, elegant and bright, nothing flashy, everything real. Will you marry me, Stacy? Stacy's breath caught. Tears welled, not from pain, but from the overwhelming healing love she felt for the man kneeling before her. Yes, she whispered, her voice shaking with joy. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Stone slid the ring onto her finger, rising to pull her into his arms. The restaurant staff, sensing the moment, erupted into applause. Stacy pressed her face to Stone's neck, breathless with happiness. I love you. He held her tight, promising, I'll never let you go. The days that followed felt like living inside a dream. Stacy called Thelma, who whooped loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Gabby cried and promised to throw the wildest bachelorette party the city had ever seen. Stone was a changed man. He walked lighter, smiled more, and held Stacy's hand like she was the only thing anchoring him to this world. They visited churches, tasted cakes, and danced in bridal shops to songs only they could hear. In the privacy of their home, the intimacy deepened, Stone tracing the shape of her ring on her finger, whispering vows long before the wedding. Some nights, they lay awake, talking about their future, children, a house full of laughter, new family traditions. Stone said, We'll make our own legacy, something no one can ever take from us. Stacy believed him. Her heart felt whole for the first time in her life. But perfection has shadows. The wedding planning, while joyful, began to reveal cracks. Stone threw himself into work, promising each late night was just this once. Some days, he missed cake tastings. He was quiet on calls, distracted during dinner. Stacy tried to ignore it. He's building a life for us, she told herself. But old insecurities whispered in the quiet moments. Is he pulling away? Gabby noticed, too. Make sure you don't lose yourself in loving him, Stace. You're worth the world, with or without a ring. Stacy nodded, but her faith stayed strong. She remembered every promise, every moment Stone had chosen her. She held to hope. In the nights before the wedding, Stone grew restless. He'd wake from nightmares, sweating and shaken. Stacy would hold him, running her hands down his back until he calmed. "Tell me what scares you," she'd whisper. He'd only say, "Losing you," or not being enough. Stacy reassured him, again and again, her love a shield against his doubts. On the eve of their wedding, they shared a quiet meal, just the two of them. They talked about the first night they met, the spilled coffee, the way they'd both been afraid to hope. Stone held her hand across the table, thumb rubbing gentle circles over her skin. "I love you," he said, fierce and soft. "Nothing changes that." Stacy smiled, tears in her eyes. "I love you too. You're my once-in-a-lifetime." They went to bed early, wrapped together in the dark, dreaming of forever. Outside, rain tapped against the windows, a quiet blessing, a new beginning. The sun rose bright and clear on Stacy's wedding day, painting the city in gold. In Thelma's little apartment, the scent of coffee mingled with the buzz of excitement. Thelma pressed a soft kiss to Stacy's forehead as she pinned the final curl in her hair. "You look like every good thing I ever prayed for," Thelma whispered. Stacy's dress glimmered, a simple gown, elegant and pure, fitting her like a second skin. She slipped on her shoes, her hands steady, her heart wild with hope. Gabby arrived, clutching flowers and beaming with pride. "Ready to meet forever?" Gabby teased. Stacy grinned, nerves and joy fighting for space in her chest. "I've never been more sure." Photos, laughter, hugs. Everyone fussed around Stacy, fixing lipstick, adjusting her veil. The church was packed, sunlight streaming through stained glass, the air electric with anticipation. Stacy waited in the back, Thelma holding her hand. "I know I taught you to be strong," Thelma said quietly. "But it's okay to be happy too." "I am, Mama," Stacy replied, voice soft. The doors opened. Stacy walked down the aisle, every step a promise, every face turned toward her, some teary, some smiling. She reached the altar, heart racing, searching for Stone's eyes, but Stone wasn't there. Minutes passed. Then, an hour. Whispers filled the pews, nervous, rising, impossible to ignore. Gabby scanned the crowd, panic creeping across her face. The priest cleared his throat, shuffling papers. The organist played, then stopped. Stacy stood, bouquet trembling in her hands, face frozen in a hopeful smile that began to ache. Thelma squeezed her daughter's shoulders, fighting tears. "Hold your head up, baby." Gabby rushed to Stacy, her eyes frantic. "Let's go somewhere private. Just for a minute." "No," Stacy said quietly. "I'll wait." Her mind raced. Maybe Stone was stuck in traffic. Maybe something had happened. She checked her phone. Nothing. She sent a message. Nothing. The guests shifted, uncomfortable. A child began to cry. Still, Stacy waited. Minutes crawled into eternity. The world spun on, but she stood still. Gabby hugged her, voice breaking. "You don't deserve this, Stace. No one does." Stacy's hands shook, but she kept her spine straight. She would not collapse in front of these people. Finally, the priest approached, gentle and sad. "Would you like to reschedule or?" Stacy shook her head, numb. "No, I'd like to leave." As she turned to go, 1,000 eyes followed. Some sympathetic, some pitying, a few already reaching for their phones, hungry for gossip. Stacy kept her gaze fixed forward, every step heavy and slow. Outside, the sky had clouded over. Gabby wrapped an arm around her, holding tight. Thelma followed, fierce and silent, a shield in the storm. In the empty parking lot, Stacy broke. The bouquet fell from her hands, scattering petals across the asphalt. Her sobs were raw, anger, humiliation, grief all tumbling out at once. Gabby held her. Thelma held both of them. Stacy let herself weep until there was nothing left. Hours later, in the privacy of her mother's home, Stacy slipped out of her dress and into the shower. She scrubbed away the makeup, the tears, the memory of every hope she'd pinned on that day. She stood before the mirror, bare, red-eyed, but unbroken. She remembered Thelma's words. "Don't wait for life to be fair, baby. Make it fair for yourself." Stacy stared at her reflection, breathing deep. "I will not let this define me," she whispered. As night fell, Gabby sat on the bed, holding Stacy's hand. "Want to talk about it?" Gabby asked gently. Stacy shook her head. "Not tonight. But thank you for not letting me be alone." Thelma brought tea, sitting at the foot of the bed. "You are not ruined, Stacy. You're still my daughter. You're still everything good." Stacy drank the tea, grateful for the warmth, the love, and the safety of home. When she finally slept, her dreams were full of Stone, his laugh, his promises, the pain of being left behind. But in the last dream, she stood alone, head high, sunlight at her back. Morning brought resolve. Stacy woke up changed. The pain was there, but underneath it was something stronger. Determination. She got dressed. She brushed her hair, set her jaw, and started searching for jobs in a new city. She would build a life Stone couldn't touch, and she would do it on her own terms. The world felt different after the wedding that never was. Stacy woke to silence, the scent of lilies and broken dreams still clinging to her hair. For the first time in years, she had nowhere to be and no one waiting for her. Her ring finger felt oddly light. The ache in her chest throbbed with every breath. She spent that first day in bed, curtains drawn, the world reduced to the quiet hum of her mother's apartment. Thelma checked on her, bringing food, soft words, stories about strong women who survived worse. Gabby came by with ice cream and new pajamas. They watched old movies, laughing until Stacy's laughter turned to tears. And Gabby just held her. "Let it out," Gabby whispered. "You don't have to be strong every minute." Stacy clung to her friend, sobbing, letting all the hurt pour out. By midnight, she felt wrung dry, empty, but a little less raw. But pain only held her for so long. On the third morning, Stacy pulled herself up and took a long shower. She scrubbed every inch of her skin, washing away the shame, the memory of cold church pews, the sound of whispered gossip. Standing in front of the mirror, she stared at herself, red eyes, wild hair, jaw clenched. "This is not the end," she told her reflection. "This is my beginning." She found an old notebook and began to write. Every thought, every wound, every piece of hope she still had. By the time the sun set, Stacy's resolve was stronger. She applied for jobs in new cities. Chicago, Atlanta, Seattle, places where no one would know her story. She edited her resume, pressed her best suit, and told Thelma, "I need to go. If I stay here, I'll drown." Thelma hugged her tight, tears in her eyes but pride in her voice. "Go, baby. Build the life you deserve." Gabby packed a suitcase with her, tucking in notes of encouragement between shirts and socks. "Call me every day," she said, wiping her eyes, "or I'll hunt you down." Stacy smiled. Deal. Her first weeks in Chicago were hard. She rented a small apartment with peeling paint and a view of nothing but alleyways. Her savings stretched thin. She worked temp jobs, receptionist by day, waitress by night, saving every dollar, eating ramen and apples, refusing to call home in defeat. Some nights, she cried. Some mornings, she woke up certain she'd made a mistake. But each time doubt threatened, Stacy remembered standing alone at that altar, how she'd survived the worst day of her life. Everything after that felt possible. She enrolled in business classes at night, pouring herself into textbooks, staying up late to study. The work was grueling, but it made her mind sharp and her heart busy. Slowly, the pain dulled. Stacy made new friends, a neighbor who left baked goods at her door, a classmate who studied with her at midnight, and a manager who noticed her determination and gave her extra hours. She started to feel seen again, not as the girl who'd been left, but as a woman who showed up for herself every single day. She changed, inside and out. Her style shifted, less about impressing anyone, more about comfort and power. She cut her hair short, looking in the mirror and seeing someone she barely recognized, but quietly admired. She started running at dawn, pounding her anger and disappointment into the pavement. Each mile cleared her head, made her feel strong. Gabby called every few days, updates from home, stories about Thelma's latest adventures, tidbits about Stone. His company's in the papers a lot. He's making big moves. You sure you're done? Stacy answered the same every time. I'm done. My life isn't about him anymore. Still, sometimes she dreamed of him, his smile, his touch, the promises they'd made in the dark. But when she woke, it was only her own heartbeat she heard. As the months passed, Stacy started to thrive. Her work ethic caught the eye of a recruiter at a rising tech company. She nailed the interview, confident, polished, hungry for something new. They offered her a real job. For the first time since leaving home, Stacy signed a lease with her own name and bought herself a plant for her new office. She texted Gabby, "I got the job. I'm not just surviving, I'm building." Gabby replied, "I knew you would." Stacy's nights alone became a kind of therapy. She cooked for herself, learned to love jazz, took long baths, and read books about women who'd changed their own stories. She found comfort in solitude, candles lit, soft music playing, face masks and painted toes. Some nights, she stared at the city from her window, letting memories of the past pass through her like wind. And every time doubt tried to creep back in, Stacy repeated her new mantra, "I am not what was done to me. I am what I choose next." Slowly, the ruins of her old life became the foundation for her new one. She started journaling again, this time not about pain, but about goals, dreams, things she wanted just for herself. She made a vision board, filled it with images of women in power, cities she wanted to visit, and dreams she had never dared say out loud. And with every day that passed, Stacy's confidence grew. Her story wasn't over, it was only just beginning. By the time winter melted into spring, Stacy Martin was a new woman. Stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever life brought next. Spring in Chicago felt like a possibility. Stacy walked to work with the wind in her hair, her new life opening up in small, bright moments. Warm coffee, fresh flowers on her desk, emails with her name on the header, not just as a CC. Her job as a business analyst at Blackwell Technologies became her anchor. She dove into each project with focus, earning the respect of bosses who first doubted her. Her ideas were sharp, her questions pointed, her results impossible to ignore. Stacy's reputation grew. She stayed late, volunteered for tough assignments and LED meetings, with a calm authority that made even the toughest executives listen. She didn't need to prove anything to anyone, but every day she showed up as her best self. Outside work, she built a real community. Dinners with friends from her business classes, quiet afternoons at the lake with a book, Sunday phone calls with Thelma, who always started with, "How's my favorite CEO in training?" Gabby kept her updated on home, but Stacy rarely asked about Stone. Her life wasn't about him now, but the past sometimes found its way in. One morning, Stacy was called into her boss's office. The company was expanding, looking to acquire a new tech firm, struggling but valuable. She listened, heart pounding, as her boss explained, "The company's name is Harrow Tech. Their numbers are a mess, but they have tech that could put us 5 years ahead of the competition. We want you to lead the review, Stacy. You're the only one I trust for something this delicate." The world seemed to tilt. Harrow Tech, Stone's company. Stacy took a deep breath. "I'll do it." She spent the next week knee-deep in documents, numbers, and late-night emails. Every page held pieces of the life she'd left behind. Stone's signature, familiar letterheads, echoes of old ambitions. But Stacy didn't flinch. She approached the deal with the same grit she'd used to rebuild her own life. Cold, clear, focused. She spotted red flags, called out inconsistencies, and made tough recommendations. When a colleague asked if she knew anyone at Harrow Tech, Stacy just smiled. Not anymore. Gabby called as news of the acquisition leaked to the press. "Are you okay, Stace? You sure you want to do this?" Stacy gazed out at the city. "I need to. For myself. I'm not running from anything anymore." Gabby was quiet then. "I'm proud of you, and if you need backup, I'm a flight away." Stacy laughed, warmth in her chest. "I'll let you know if I need muscle." The night before the final negotiation, Stacy took a long bath, candles flickering around her. She closed her eyes, letting old pain float to the surface, then letting it go. She pictured herself walking into Stone's office, not as a broken woman, but as the boss. She slept deeply, no dreams of the past, only a quiet certainty that she was ready. The next morning, Stacy dressed with care, dark blue suit, simple jewelry, a bold red lip. She looked in the mirror and saw the leader she'd become. At the meeting, executives from both sides filled the conference room. Stone entered late, papers in hand, his gaze heavy with exhaustion and pride. For a split second, his eyes found Stacy, and the world stilled. He blinked, disbelief and recognition flickering in his expression. But Stacy gave nothing away. She kept her head high, her voice steady as she introduced herself, outlined the agenda, and led the conversation. Stone tried to catch her eye, but Stacy never lingered. She was professional, courteous, and direct. The negotiations were tough. Stone fought for his company, but Stacy's analysis was airtight. Her team respected her. Even Stone, in quiet moments, looked at her with a new kind of awe. During a break, Stone found her alone at the window, gazing at the city. "Stacy," he started. She turned, cool and calm. "This isn't personal, Stone. It's business." He hesitated. "You've changed." She smiled, sharp but kind. "I grew up." A long pause. The years hung between them. "Are you happy?" he asked. Stacy's answer was simple. "I am. More than I thought possible." He looked away. "I'm glad." The silence wasn't bitter, only full of things left unsaid. "The deal will close by the end of the week." Blackwell acquired Harrow Tech. Stacy's boss called her the future of this company. Her name was on the news, her reputation sealed. That night, Stacy celebrated with friends, raising a glass not just to the win, but to the woman she'd become. As the laughter faded and she walked home beneath a bright moon, Stacy felt lighter than she had in years. She'd faced her past and won. She was finally free. If you believe in turning heartbreak into strength, comment my pain, my power below. Like, share, and subscribe to support stories that celebrate real comebacks. With the deal behind her, Stacy permitted herself to breathe. She took a week off, her first real vacation in years, and booked a quiet cabin near Lake Geneva. Alone, she hiked in the mornings, soaked in hot baths at dusk, and let the silence teach her that solitude isn't loneliness, it's space for growth. Each sunrise brought a new ritual. She stretched in the sun, journaled her goals, and made coffee just how she liked it. She lingered in front of the mirror, appreciating the way her body had changed, stronger, curves a little fuller, eyes steady, posture proud. Stacy took herself on dates, art museums, local jazz clubs, rooftop brunches, with nothing but a good book and her favorite music in her ears. She wore what made her feel beautiful, silk dresses, cozy sweaters, and bold lipstick that made strangers compliment her smile. She explored the world of intimacy on her own terms. One night, feeling daring, Stacy visited a wine bar. She caught the attention of a gentle, charming man named David. They talked over glasses of Malbec, laughing easily, sharing stories of failed loves and second chances. The chemistry was clear, but Stacy held her ground. She was in control, not searching for rescue or validation. After a few dates, David invited her to his apartment. Stacy went, heart open but boundaries clear. They kissed, slow, exploratory, his hands respectful but eager. Stacy set the pace. She let herself feel wanted, but only as much as she wanted. She learned how to say yes, how to say no, and how to savor every sensation. She realized that true intimacy was less about who held her and more about how she felt in her own skin. David became a friend and a memory, a good man, but not the next chapter. Stacy thanked him, wished him well, and moved forward without regret. Her nights alone became something sacred. She filled her apartment with candles and soft blankets. She played her favorite playlists, danced in her living room, and experimented in the kitchen. She took long baths, exploring her own body with curiosity and care, learning every spot that made her sigh, every rhythm that brought her pleasure. She wrote love letters to herself. She practiced saying affirmations in the mirror. I am enough. I am worthy. I am allowed to be happy. On my own. Stacy's friendships grew deeper. She started a women's circle, a monthly dinner where friends could share their stories and dreams. Laughter and tears flowed freely. They talked about heartbreak, ambition, sex, fear, and power. One friend, Mia, confessed, I wish I could start over the way you did. Stacy smiled. You can. All it takes is one hard choice at a time. The group became her chosen family, a reminder that intimacy can be shared, not just with lovers, but with friends who lift you higher. Her work thrived. Stacy was promoted. Her boss called her the heart and brain of the company. She mentored younger analysts, encouraging them to speak up, own their strengths, and never let anyone diminish their worth. Her leadership style was different, compassionate, honest, sometimes tough, but always fair. People noticed. She started getting invitations to speak at conferences, to share her story with women trying to break into the industry. She spoke openly about failure and second chances, about standing up after heartbreak, and refusing to let the past dictate the future. Romance returned on her terms. Stacy dated, but never out of loneliness. She met men who were funny, kind, ambitious, adventurous, but she didn't settle. She didn't chase a fairy tale. She enjoyed flirty conversations, soft kisses, and slow dances, but always kept her independence. She realized the greatest gift she'd ever been given was her freedom. She owned her story, all the scars, all the triumphs, and through it all, Stacy never forgot the lessons she'd learned. True love respects and never abandons. Intimacy begins within. Pain can build an empire if you let it. Every night, she looked out at the city lights, whispering thanks for the heartbreak that showed her how strong she could be. By autumn, Stacy was known across the city's tech scene, not just as a survivor, but as a force. Her name showed up in industry articles, her face on speaker panels. Recruiters called weekly. Clients requested her by name. She never forgot where she started. Stacy kept a photo of Thelma and Gabby on her desk, a small bakery apron pinned beside her first business award. When she felt doubt creep in, she'd look at those reminders and remember, I built this life. I did it from scratch. Work felt purposeful. Stacy led a project to launch a new product line, overseeing dozens of people, juggling pressure with grace. She loved her team, believed in them, and made sure every voice was heard. She started mentoring young women, hosting workshops and one-on-ones. She helped them navigate office politics, negotiate raises, and hold their ground when doubted. I know what it's like to be overlooked, she told them. That's your secret weapon. Use it. Surprise them. One day, the company president called her in. Stacy, we're moving forward with the acquisition of Harrow Tech. You'll lead it. Full authority. Stacy's heart thudded. She nodded, steady. I'm ready. Inside, her mind raced. The past and future were about to collide in one room. In the weeks leading up to the merger, Stacy's confidence never wavered in public. But in private, she checked her armor. She looked up Stone's recent interviews, saw how much he'd changed. More tired, more humble. She felt nothing but a cool, distant curiosity. At night, she talked with Gabby and Thelma about the deal. Gabby teased, Girl, if you walk in there in heels and run that show, every woman in this city will be cheering. Thelma's advice was quieter, but firmer. Don't go there to win against him. Go there to win for you. Stacy nodded. That's all I want. Final preparations took everything she had. She worked late, making sure the numbers were bulletproof. Her team trusted her completely. The night before the big day, Stacy lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of every step that brought her here. She thought of the church. She thought of the woman who walked out alone, petals at her feet, and never looked back. She smiled, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. I made it, she whispered. I'm proud of you, Stacy. Sleep came easily. The morning of the meeting, Stacy dressed in navy, sharp lines, gold jewelry, hair up and flawless. She walked into the glass conference room, her heels steady, voice strong. Her team followed. Stone, entered last. Their eyes met for only a second. In that look, years passed. But Stacy gave nothing away, her face all business. Stone nodded, acknowledging her strength. The meeting was tense. Every word mattered. Stacy ran the agenda, asked hard questions, shut down evasions, and impressed even Stone's most loyal allies. She was fair but fierce. She protected her company, her people, and the vision she'd fought for. Stone watched, mostly silent, his own team falling in line with her logic. She could sense his pride, mixed with regret. At one point, during a private sidebar, Stone tried to speak. "Stacy, She cut him off with a small, calm smile. "We're here for business, Stone. Let's keep it that way." He looked away, nodding. Of course. The deal closed. Stacy's firm acquired Harrowtech. The press went wild, praising her skill, her backbone, her story. That night, her friends surprised her with a celebration. Thelma called, crying, happy tears. Gabby hugged her, whispering, "You did it. You really did it." For a moment, Stacy stepped out onto the balcony, breathing in the city air. Below, the lights stretched for miles. She felt a peace she'd never known. The past was truly behind her. Tomorrow, she'd lead a new company. Tonight, she was simply Stacy, a woman who had lost everything, found herself, and changed her own destiny. The takeover was official, but nothing felt settled until Stacy stood in the old Harrowtech boardroom, Stone's former kingdom, now under her command. The room buzzed with tension. Executives from both sides sat around the long table, stealing glances at Stacy, at Stone, at each other. Stacy opened the meeting, her voice calm and unwavering. "Thank you all for being here. I know transitions aren't easy, but this is a new chapter, for everyone." She outlined her vision, her expectations, and her promise of fairness. She kept her tone measured, never boastful, but everyone in the room could feel the shift. She was in charge, and it wasn't up for debate. Stone listened, arms folded. His eyes stayed on Stacy, searching for something. Anger, softness, maybe regret. But she gave him nothing except professionalism. When the formal meeting ended, people filtered out. Only Stone lingered, waiting until the door clicked shut behind the last executive. A long silence settled. Sunlight striped the table between them. Stone broke first, voice low and raw. "I never thought it would be you on this side of the table." Stacy regarded him, steady and poised. "Life surprises us all, doesn't it?" He studied her, eyes full of what-ifs and might-have-beens. "You were always stronger than me. I just didn't see it soon enough." Stacy didn't flinch. "You left me with nothing, so I built everything." Stone's shoulders sagged. He ran a hand through his hair, looking older than she remembered. "I've thought about that day 1,000 times. I was scared. I was stupid. And I'm sorry, Stacy, for all of it." Stacy inhaled, letting the words hang in the air. She felt a small ache, but mostly relief. "I don't need your apology, Stone," she said quietly. "Not anymore. I found closure a long time ago." He tried to step closer, voice softening. "If I could do it over—" She raised a hand, cutting him off. "Don't. The past made us who we are, but we don't owe it any more time." A beat passed. Stone nodded, eyes shining. "You deserved better." A gentle smile touched Stacy's lips. "I became better. That's all that matters." He reached out, as if to touch her hand, a gesture that once would have undone her. This time, Stacy stepped back, calm and clear. "I hope you find what you're looking for," she said, her words free of bitterness. Stone nodded, swallowing his pride. "You're extraordinary, Stacy." She met his gaze, strong and unwavering. "I always was. I just had to believe it." For a long moment, the room was silent, two lives that once intertwined, now moving forward on their own terms. Stone gathered his things. As he turned to go, he paused in the doorway. "Take care of this place," he said quietly. Stacy nodded. "I will, and I'll do it my way." The door closed softly behind him. For the first time, Stacy felt the weight of everything she'd survived. and the thrill of everything ahead. She returned to the table, alone but never lonely. This was her boardroom now, her rules, her legacy. The boardroom was quiet now, but Stacy could feel the energy thrumming in the walls. Decades of deals, dreams, betrayals, and new beginnings. She walked to the window, gazing out over the city. The skyline glittered, alive with possibility. A knock at the door brought her back. It was the new team, a mix of old Harrow Tech and Blackwell staff, waiting for her first real address. Stacy took her place at the head of the table, confident and warm. She welcomed everyone, her words honest and simple. We've all come from different places. We've all survived changes, some easy, some not. But today, we have a chance to build something greater, together. She looked around, making eye contact with the nervous, the hopeful, the skeptical. I won't ask you to forget the past. I'll ask you to learn from it. I'm not interested in ruling by fear. I want a company where every voice matters, where respect is earned and given, every single day. People listened, some nodding, some still unsure. Stacy smiled. I was left at the altar once. People thought it would break me, but pain didn't ruin me, it built me. And now, we have the chance to build something remarkable from every scar and every lesson. Applause followed, soft at first, then growing. In the weeks that followed, Stacy made good on her promise. She met with each team member, listening to their stories, hearing their hopes and frustrations. She kept an open-door policy, remembered birthdays, and asked about families. She promoted women who had been overlooked, mentored new hires, and started an initiative for working mothers. Her reputation grew even stronger, now as a compassionate visionary leader. Her story made waves across the industry. She spoke at conferences, inspiring rooms full of young women to claim their own power. She started a scholarship in her mother's name, helping girls from tough backgrounds get their start in business. Thelma visited often, proud tears glimmering as she watched her daughter in action. "You did it, Stacy," she said one afternoon, hugging her tight. "You made your own world." Gabby cheered from the front row, ever loyal, always reminding Stacy to celebrate every victory, big or small. One evening, alone in her office, Stacy wrote a letter to her younger self. "You survived the worst day of your life. You learned that closure isn't owed, it's earned. Forgiveness sets you free. Success was sweeter because you found it yourself. True love means never having to beg for respect. You are enough. Always." She sealed the letter, placing it in her desk, a reminder for every hard day ahead. A new hire, nervous and shy, asked her for advice during orientation. Stacy smiled, remembering her own beginnings. "Don't let fear make your choices. You are here for a reason. You belong. And if someone tries to make you feel small, use it as fuel to become unstoppable." The young woman nodded, her shoulders a little straighter. As time passed, Stacy watched the company flourish. Her leadership changed lives, not just numbers. Employees brought their best selves to work, proud to be part of something bigger than any one person. Stone became just another chapter in her story. He sent a card after his first child was born. No bitterness, only gratitude for the role she played in making him better too. Stacy smiled, wishing him well, no longer feeling pain, only peace. One quiet night, Stacy walked through the office alone. She paused at the window, city lights winking like a million fresh starts. She whispered, "Thank you," to every scar, every heartbreak, every victory. Her tears had built an empire. Her greatest gift was never revenge. It was this life, chosen, built and owned every single day. If Stacy's story inspired you, type "never broken" in the comments. Pain can build power. You are stronger than you know. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind you your comeback starts now. Thank you for being part of Mr. Leonardo's stories.